So thank you everybody for taking the time out of your day today to join us for this webinar. I'm Paul Buchel. I'm a sales executive with UnForm, also known as SDSI. I've also got Alan McGlory with me today, who's going to step you through some software here in just a minute. Just to kind of set the stage for what we're going to do today, I'm going to walk through just a very small handful of PowerPoint slides, kind of talk about who we are, what we do, and then what we're going to look at today and some of the concepts behind how to use the applications we're going to step through today. So I think there's probably a good many of you on this call that are already using our print management solution to create forms and reports. And those forms and reports can be automatically delivered a variety of ways, but they're also pushed into our archive as they're generated. So as the documents are generated by UnForm, we automatically push them into archive. And what we're going to look at today too is the ability to also push those forms directly into IDM and other repositories as well. But the focus is going to be on getting those forms directly into IDM as they print. We're also going to look at our image manager solution today. And the image manager is what we use to bring documents into either the archive or the IDM that are either third-party documents or documents that were generated and had some value added to them after the fact, like signatures and things like that. The image manager has been rewritten as of the first of the year with version 10 with an eye toward automation. We're going to talk through how all that automation comes together to simplify getting documents not only into our archive, but again, we can push those straight into IDM as well. The image manager also has the ability to extract data from documents, so you can use that for a variety of data entry automation enhancements. So, the example that we'll look at today is the ability to get data off of vendor invoices, format those as an electronic transaction, and then be able to push those into the ERP so that nobody has to do the data entry to get those documents in there. It's a big time saver when you do it that way. We also have a couple other, just very quickly, we've got a DocFlow document routing capability. So any documents in our archive are available for that. And the DocFlow can be used for a variety of things. Can be used for routing documents for approvals, for electronic signature capture, for, just automating document flows based on, whatever particular business process those documents are a part of. The image manager, again, is completely browser-based, as are all of our products. So it's very easy to deploy them. You don't have to do installs on different desktops to get it deployed. And the focus of Image Manager is automation. So the idea is that you can bring documents in with either zero human intervention or minimal at best. So those documents, as they come through Image Manager, can be fully indexed and transferred into the UnForm Archive, into IDM, or other repositories as needed. It can be put in a DocFlow for routing, can be create an electronic transaction from it. And we also, though, have retained the manual capabilities in Image Manager as well, so that there may be some documents that don't necessarily lend themselves to automation, or as corrections need to be made as documents come in, you can go in and manually index documents as well. And what we're going to look at today, again, is we're going to kind of focus on how we're using not only our print management, but our image manager to push documents into IDM. One thing too, I want to make sure everybody understands is that although Infor does not certify third-party products with Cloudsuite, they do provide APIs to be able to enable integrations with third-party products. So we've used those integrations, we've leveraged those APIs to be able to build what we're going to show you today. The full job automation begins as documents come into the image manager. They can be either in monitored directories or a monitored email address. and then based on what the inbound source is, you define different actions. So when that document comes in, what is it and what do I need to do with it? As they arrive, we detect who sent that document. Based on that detection logic, we know what we need to do with that document to get the data off of it that we need to either index it or create a transaction from it. The information that we use for indexing can be populated a variety of ways. We can pull text data off of PDFs. We can use optical character recognition. We can read barcodes. We can look up data in other databases if needed. And of course, you can manually enter data. So there's a variety of ways to get the data that we need to index and store that document to make it as quick and easy and hopefully as without any data entry as possible. Once the data is all gathered and validated, and those validations could be mathematical validation, it could be validations against a database, a variety of things can be used to validate that the data is accurate and complete. Those documents get transferred into the archive, into IDM, or to other systems as appropriate. Image Manager for AP automation. Again, as documents come in, we detect who sent them. Based on that, we know what to do to that document to get the data off of it that we need. We extract the document, we store it as XML data, and then we use rule files, which essentially are the same rule files that you use to create forms and reports with, to format that data based on whatever the target application requirement is. So if it's an XML document, we can format the XML based on the target application. We can create an EDI.dat file if that's what's required. It can be a CSV file. It can be, again, formatted with that rule file to do whatever it is you need to do to that data to format it so that it can be imported into, in this case, into accounts payable. That data is also, the document then is also exported and based on the various APIs, can be delivered to other document repositories as required. So again, focus here today is going to be on how we have built using the APIs the ability to push these documents into IDM and other applications as required. So Gloria, that is your signal to flip it over to Alan, who's going to actually step us through the software so you can see it in action.
Okay, so this is Alan, and I'm going to be running through a demonstration of UnForm and Cloudsuite integration. As Paul mentioned, we've got basically two components to that. One is the printing side, and the second one is our image manager piece. We'll go through both those today. On the printing side, I've got a Cloudsuite screen up here for invoice printing. By the way, let's jump over here to the.
We're not seeing your screen.
Are you not? You're not seeing my screen.
Yeah, we got
it. Do you?
I'm seeing his screen.
I guess it was a little slow.
Okay, there it is.
Okay. Okay, so over in Administrator Options in CSD, you can choose Print Format For and Third-Party Output Type. And what that does is it has, it ships the form BODs, XML data, out through the UnForm connector to a remote machine. We've got this set up so that when I click my Submit button here, and I'm going and I'm printing the invoice, it's going to briefly land in this drop folder over here. We may not even see it because it's very quick as it picks it up. This is being monitored by a tool called Cirrus Print, which is forwarding that over to UnForm. UnForm is running that job, and it's producing output, it's archiving those, and ultimately it lands out here. This is the document that would have landed on your printer after running it through the the ion-based printing. So you can see that was pretty quick. That was a lot faster than say email to print and other techniques that people are using out in the field. Now at the same time that we did that, we were pushing this document into IDM. So here's another copy of that document that went to IDM. We can come over to document management and look at our most recent docs, and we'll see that was the last one that got pushed. Again, right here, there's our invoice. And let me show you how we did that. Over in UnForm, we're using a technique, a delivery technique that is fault tolerant. We think that was it was a stroke of genius on our part to realize that we didn't want to talk directly from UnForm to the IDM APIs. We wanted a fail-safe mode, so we're using our deliver command to send those documents up to IDM. And that means if IDM is down for any reason, UnForm will just spool those and get them up to IDM when they're available, when IDM is available. Now we also have another piece here. You notice we've got our UnForm button right here. This is actually our web extension doing an integration right into the WebUI in Cloudsuite. If I click this, I can go in and I can go view the invoice, the acknowledgement, pick ticket, and so on. But also we can do this. We can view all those documents, and we can even view them side by side. This is what our multi-view technology. So that's the printing side. Basically, we're using the enterprise connector to route the document through UnForm, goes back out to your printers, back out to the archive repository, and into IDM. Now let me jump over to the image manager side here. The first thing to look at is inbound sources. Paul had mentioned that we support both folder and email inbound sources. I've got an example right here on an UnForm machine that is going to pick up files that land in this directory out there and detect and run jobs of this type automatically. So if I come over here and I'm going to select a few of these documents, and I'm going to go ahead and push those out to the UnForm server, and we'll let those do their thing. That is some heavy lifting that goes on when we're processing those inbound documents. We have to OCR, barcode, and all that kind of thing. So while that's running in background, I'm going to go ahead and show a single document here where I'm going to upload one invoice, and I'll run it through manually. So this is our image manager. We've got a number of job definitions developed for samples. I'm going to go ahead and run one of those jobs. And it's gone out and picked off information off of the form, giving us lines total and so on, dates, PO numbers. We also have the ability to go do verification and lookups against the Cloudsuite database. So here's my a lookup into the POs for this vendor.
Alan, your screen's running just a little behind.
Is it?
Yes.
Maybe I should talk slower. Okay. Well, what did you just see, Paul?
Now we are at the PO CSD POs company.
Okay. All right. So I had shown how we can fetch information from CSD for lookup and validation purposes. Are you seeing this screen where we've got the lookup of PO numbers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so we've gathered up information from this document, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to transfer it up into the UnForm repository. So that's done. And that went into the UnForm archive, and it went into IDM. And we also generated some output, some XML output. Let me pull up this particular XML file. This is a BOD transaction for a supplier invoice. And that's the type of file that you would use to push back through ION into Cloudsuite to generate an AP transaction. So that was all generated by UnForm. And that BOD can be pushed back up into Cloudsuite for the automated transaction entry. Now let me flip over. These are the files that I uploaded a few minutes ago. One thing you'll notice is we've got 5 files, even though I only sent over 3 files. And that's because this particular thing was a batch. Let me pull this up in Adobe Acrobat. And you can see this is a set of 6 pages where every other page has a barcode. The other pages are supposed to be attached to those pages with barcodes, and that's exactly what happened. If I look at the images here, there's page 1 with a barcode, the PO is attached. Then we have this invoice with an acceptance attached. And then we've got this PO receipt with this packing slip attached. So we've divided up automatically without any user intervention. We've divided up the batch into the individual documents. Let's take a look at this, this document right here. We're capable of scraping a lot of data off these forms. Now this is a big multi-page document, and if we take a look, we have pulled all the line item detail off of there. And we've added up this lines total, and we've done a validation based on that lines total. Did it actually match the merchant total on the second to last page? So lots of flexibility in how you can configure these jobs. And I think I have finished the demonstration.
So, Gloria, at this point, I think we're going to open it up for questions. Then,
Alan, were you not planning to show this document in IDM?
Oh, the invoice that we transferred up?
Yeah.
Sure, it got there, I hope. Let's go look at recent documents again.
Screen is still a little behind.
Okay, well, I just refreshed my recent documents, and here is the trade invoice that that we just pushed up into IDM.
We're not seeing it yet. For some reason, things are going very slow on the webinar.
Do you see it yet?
Almost. Starting to render right now.
Now, yes.
Yeah, we see it now.
Okay, yeah, so this is that vendor invoice that had been pushed into IDM. It's a little bit fuzzy. I can go ahead and download it. And open it up in a real mode here where it's actually looking at the PDF file. But yeah, so this is the vendor invoice that I ran the job against. It identified it, assigned the vendor, assigned the PO number, and so on. And then when we uploaded it, it went into IDM as well as the UnForm archive.
There it is.
Okay.
You wanna?
We can jump to here. Information about our conference. Yeah, I mean, under the covers, there's obviously a lot going on with those image manager jobs and the UnForm printing. Everybody knows about UnForm rule files and all the capabilities there. And our conference is going to be all about how that works. So to get to the conference information, just go to unform.com, and here's this big banner at the top, and that'll take you to the conference website.
And gentlemen, are you ready for any questions that are being posed?
Sure.
All right, we have Bob Osborne who asks, can we use UnForm with other types of workflows like order entry?
I assume you mean to help automate data entry. If so, then the answer is yes.
Yeah, we're able to automate not just AP invoices, but also purchase orders coming in from customers. I mean, any sort of document that we can pull data off of, and that we have an available API over in Cloudsuite to build off of.
Debbie Schwab is also asking, can you show the sample invoice in SX.e, please?
The sample. Can we get clarification on?
How about we circle back to that one after Debbie adds additional information so that you can give an answer with greater clarity, and we'll go on to the next question momentarily in the hopes that we come back to it. David Tsai says, is there a cloud-based solution, or do we need to have UnForm Server hosted on-prem, assuming that we're using Cloudsuite distribution?
It will run in the cloud or on-prem. What we don't have is a managed solution where we're running UnForm for you. We do require that the customers run the software themselves, or a partner can help them, but it can reside anywhere.
Okay. And Norman Brault asks regarding this, the upcoming UnForm conference, does the conference have training sessions hands-on, question mark?
There will be, I wouldn't say hands-on, there will be plenty of examples provided that you would be able to run in your own time on a demo copy of UnForm on a laptop or back at your office. But the format doesn't lend itself. We'll have too many people there to actually do like a hands-on training with a teacher walking around hitting people with a ruler kind of a thing.
Although that can be arranged if the last part.
And we're going to circle back to Debbie Schwab's question. She said she's looking to see the AP, the accounts payable invoice that you pulled in through Image Manager. Is that what we're looking at right now on your screen, Alan?
This is the AP invoice in IDM. Now, we don't have the actual transaction generated. What we have, where did it go? It was over here. This is the BOD that would have been pushed into IDM. Now, these BODs do require some fine tuning to make sure everything matches up so it doesn't get rejected by Cloudsuite. This is the format, but it isn't in a place where it can go all the way in this example.
So I think too the web extension that Alan showed, the UnForm launch point, that is also functions in WebUI. If you're running WebUI on-prem, that web extension launches the documents.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you were talking about this button in this pop-up window right here. Right. Yeah. That's just simply a WebUI based integration. So it works with both Cloudsuite WebUI and on-prem WebUI.
Did that get to, does that help clarify the question?
Let's see what Debbie says in a moment. Well, we're waiting for Debbie to respond to make sure that she has clarity. I'm going to read next Bob Osborne's additional question. Can you clarify the relationship between Cirrus Print, Ion, and UnForm?
Okay. Yeah, I kind of glazed over that. Cirrus Print it's a sort of a companion program to UnForm, and its main purpose is to enable cloud printing. So basically UnForm can output through Cirrus Print to remote printers in remote locations. So if UnForm is running up on AWS and your printers are in Florida and California, we can get UnForm's output to those printers quickly and fault tolerantly through Cirrus Print. Now Cirrus Print also has multiple ways to get jobs in to that system, and that's what this Ion drop and a Cirrus Print monitoring process are doing for us in this scenario. The Infor Ion Enterprise connector is running on this machine, and it's been configured to take those print BODs and drop them into this folder right here, this Ion drop folder. And our Cirrus Print server on this machine is just simply picking those up and sending them over to UnForm for processing, and then taking the results and putting them out here in this example. But in fact, the same thing could have gone to a printer over in Florida.
And those don't necessarily have to be email capable printers.
Oh, right. Cirrus Print is there's a client running where the printers are, and that handles the printing. You don't need anything new in terms of printers. Just traditional laser printers are fine.
Wonderful. And Debbie was gracious and circled back and said, thank you. Yes, you answered my question.
Oh, good.
And Bob Osborne also says a big thanks. Gentlemen, would you like to do a quick overview of content or anything for the upcoming UnForm conference that you're hosting coming up next month in November? Who, what, when, where, why, dates, place, etc.?
Well, if my screen is caught up, this tells you the date and where. November 6th to 8th in Fort Lauderdale, actually technically Hollywood, Florida, but who's ever heard of Hollywood, Florida? So we say Fort Lauderdale.
I'm not seeing that page.
There it is.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, so Fort Lauderdale, Florida, The agenda is listed on this screen as well. Now even my screen's going slow.
And the other thing that I would just like to point out also for those that might be flying in is that it's 30 minutes from flying into Miami and 20-minute drive via an Uber or a taxi coming in from Fort Lauderdale to the destination where the conference is going to be held.
But yes, I encourage people to take a look at the agenda and see if it looks like it will fit with what you'd like to learn. We'll be covering all the modules with plenty of examples. We'll have three presenters, all technical.
And for those who might be online listening, how would this content vary from what you presented last year? Is it new content, fresh content? Is it a review of some of what was covered last year for comparative purposes?
Well, it's all of the above. UnForm 10 is another year older. We've enhanced it. We've improved it over the last year. We've also learned things that need more explanation, and all that's going to be fit into these sessions. So it won't just be a rehash of last year. No.
Alan, I think, would it be safe to say that it's far more, well, I guess there'll be more technical training in this one?
Well, we tried to do that last year as well.
Yeah.
You know, presenting things through examples and providing those examples. But again, we've got, it's a you know, a more mature product. There have been, if you look at our release notes, you would find quite a few enhancements that have gone on the last 10 months or so. So, you know, there's going to be new content.
Wonderful. Well, gentlemen, at this time, we don't have any additional questions posed for the panelists. So unless you have some parting words that you'd like to share, or is this a wrap?
Well, I think, you know, if you do have questions, you know, after you've thought about it a little bit, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to, you know, talk to you about whatever your specific questions are, and, you know, how, you know, you're thinking of using the product to make sure it's a good fit, and we can, you know, step you through, you know, the best way to get that implemented and in place.
And Paul, would you like to share an email address or two that people can jot down, or a slide that they can reach you at with questions?
Yeah, so if you flip it over to me real quick, that would be...
I would be happy to.
So that's my contact information, so again, if you have any, you know, again, I know how this works for me. After I've thought about it for a while, I always come up with some more questions. So, you know, just shoot me an email or give me a call, and we'll, you know, address whatever questions or concerns you have, you know, at that point.
Well, I think that concludes all the questions that we have online right now, and we'd like to thank everyone for attending this afternoon. And as they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap. Thanks everyone for attending today. And thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.